Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fragomen FC, Passport to North America 2026. I'm here with my friends and colleagues, Jake Minster out of Boston, Sergio Flores in Mexico, and we're here to provide a CONCACAF Nations League roundup. For those who don't know, the tournament took place in Los Angeles this past weekend. 4 finalists: Canada, United States, Mexico, and Panama. 2 semifinals and a final, all out of SoFi Stadium, with the winner being none other than Mexico. We thought we'd start this episode by going in the order of finish. So I will pass it to Jake, who I think is wearing black. I'm not sure if that's the mood in the U.S. men's national team these days. But Jake, I'll pass it to you first to give our audience a roundup of how the tournament went from the U.S. side.
Thanks, Rick. So, yeah, it is the mood of the U.S. men's national team audience these days, but it is not black. This is a dark blue denim. But thanks for pointing that out. So the U.S. men's national team had their worst performance ever in this nation league. They finished 4th. They started off the action with a game against Panama. Really dominated the possession that entire game, but ended up losing. They couldn't score a goal. And then they went on to play the 3rd place game against Canada. Canada scored early. The U.S. responded pretty quickly, and then Jonathan David sealed the deal. There was a lot of criticism after that game. You had legends like Landon Donovan and Alexi Lalas really calling out the effort on the team, and it was apparent. I mean, it didn't look like these people, these players were out there playing for their country. It looked very lackadaisical, like they weren't putting in 100% effort, and you never want to see that, especially when you're a fan watching players that are representing your country. I know people are being really harsh on Mauricio Pochettino right now, but I think he's still a fantastic coach. I think he's the right manager for the U.S. men's national team. And if anyone's going to get it together, I'd rather fail at this stage so that we can be prepared enough for the World Cup. So I'll turn it over to, I'll turn it back over to Rick, who can talk about Canada's 3rd place finish.
I wish you turned it to Sergio, which would have meant that we would have finished first. Well, we played Mexico in our semifinal match, and so I was gearing up for it. And you'll see my zip up. This represents the last time Canada won the tournament, which I think was about 25 years ago, the Gold Cup in 2000. And it was very exciting. A lot of build-up in Canada for this tournament. A lot of build-up from the team, from Coach Jesse Marsh. They wanted to use this. They were treating this like a measuring stick as to how far the program had come, especially in light of the fact we're just over a year away from the World Cup. And so as it was, and of course, Mexico goes and scores within the first minute, down 1-0. There were, I think, legitimate claims to some unfortunate officiating, penalty not called, but be that as it may, Mexico did score a beautiful insurance goal to seal the deal with about 10 minutes left in the game. And then of course, we thought at that point that, okay, well, now we get the United States in the semis. So that is always a silver lining coming from the Canadian side. You want to test yourself against, the best teams available. And I think it's fair to say that despite the fact that the U.S. lost to Panama, the U.S. is the stronger opponent. And it was good to see that, despite the disappointing loss, the team did rally and played really well against the U.S. I think the scoreline, if it wasn't a fair one, I think flattered the U.S. a little bit. Canada did really well that game, despite the coach getting a red card and being ejected. I think he was still angry about the semifinal where he didn't get a legitimate penalty call and just started screaming at the referee for calls that perhaps Canada didn't deserve to get. But and it was funny watching him because SoFi is such a big stadium. It takes about 15 minutes to walk, when you're ejected. And so they're showing him, 15 minutes, they're still walking in the corridors trying to find a place to watch the game. But overall, I think it was, bragging rights are a good thing, of course, but it was a solid way to end the international window. For Canada, there's talk of a tournament. I think it's called the Canadian Shield. They've just announced in June, where countries such as South Africa and the Ivory Coast will be coming to Toronto to play some games, obviously with Canada included. And then in September in Montreal, some more exhibition matches in that international window. So things are still looking bright. I think Canada is well positioned for this tournament, and congratulations to Mexico. And with that, I think that's a good segue to our champion of the three amigos. Please, Sergio, take it away and tell everyone. I think they already know, but tell everyone your perspective from Mexico.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Jake. The three amigos back again. So very nice to be with you again, guys. Yeah, I think it was a great trial. As you well said, it's a good fight with the best ones. I very much would have liked that we got the U.S. at the final, but we've got Panama. I concur, Jake. You dominated the entire game, but they scored a goal in the last possible minute. So nothing to do there. Sometimes football, it's unjust. And Rick, with Canada, what can I say? It was a great game. I can't believe the way that Canada has been building up to be a real team. They are all in the same mindset. They are just pushing forward. They are super fast. We were against the ropes most of the game. It was just that the planning of Javier Aguirre, which I think it was a good for Mexico. They were well prepared and well positioned. They were not the better team, but they had to rely on very specific players. Basically, we relied on Raúl Jiménez all of the entire tournament. He was the only one that scored, and I don't know if we can continue doing that, but he's just a great player. He's right now in the Premier League. It's a very competitive league, and of course, it shows on the pitch. That goal from shot from afar, it was just marvelous. But the entire time, it was just holding back Canada because they were too fast, they were too organized, and I concur as well on that unfortunate penalty shot. It should have been a penalty. They also need to work on the referees, the CONCACAF, all of the referee team, the VAR, all of that needs to be just tune up a little bit. But in the end, I think it was a great tournament. It showed the potential of the teams and how they will be preparing and getting to the World Cup in less than a year. I still don't understand very much Marsh's reaction on Mexico penalty. Yeah, it was. But with the U.S., it was not even a foul. So it was a red card just for nothing. Probably just reminiscing, remembering Vietnam, the last word they have. But in the end, we go kind of happy, but still with a little bit of concerns. It might be deceiving winning this tournament, but a lot of the team, it's not ready for a World Cup. To challenging another type of players, fast-paced, they need to build up, and they need to call another players that might be really up for the national team, and they did not get called for any reason. But at the end of the day, we're happy that we had this tournament, this win. It's a great, confidence boost for Mexico, and we hope that we get better with the time and get just in shape for the World Cup. So it was a great tournament, guys. I really much enjoyed that all of us played. Sorry that we did not get to go with the US, but we will eventually.
Thanks, Sergio.
Well, it was a great tournament for Mexican fans, that's for sure. So,
they packed the stadium, that's for sure.
And Raúl Jiménez was on absolute fire, and it was nice because this is someone who has a lot of experience, a lot of leadership experience, and who's coming in as a role model for some of the younger players that will eventually be on that World Cup roster. So it's I think it was a really huge step in the right direction for Mexican national team who's struggled as of late and is not used to struggling.
Yep,
I think it's a fair point. I think one of the concerns at this point, and I was reading a lot of stuff online about ticket sales, ticket prices, ticket sales. The lack of fans, that third place game. Yes, it was 3 p.m. local. It was on a Sunday. Yes, NCAA March Madness was occurring at the same time. But I think, the U.S. Soccer Federation needs to take a very serious look at, how they organize these games and trying to get as many fans as they can into the seats, because it has to be demoralizing for the players when they're out there on home soil. Yes, it's Nations League. It's a newer tournament, but it is a third place game against one of your biggest rivals in the region. And to see, that few people in the stadium at kickoff, and the people that were in the stadium, half of them were wearing Mexican jerseys in anticipation of the final game at 6:30, I think has to be a bit concerning. And I think it's something they need to look at in order to sort of keep building towards, towards the World Cup. And LA isn't a historical or typical hotspot for a U.S. Men's national team fan bases, which is typically, in the north, west, and northeast. So perhaps location had something to do with it, but I think it's something they need to look at because the U.S., if nothing else, if not on the pitch, certainly should be a lot better off it in terms of the fans that come to watch the game. So I think that's one of the takeaways as well.
Yeah, you're right. The American Federation has a lot to do. I think they're trying their best, but soccer, football is not the number one sport in the country. We have basketball, American football, baseball. But I think that FIFA plus the American Federation is really working as hard as they can to put soccer on the map. With so many high school players around the country, you think that the talent pool would just be a lot better. And we're seeing too that some of these big European clubs are starting academies in the U.S. or have had academies in the U.S. So hopefully it grows. There's not much time before the World Cup. I do expect that we'll see packed stadiums. But it's concerning. The U.S. men's national team has 2 games in SoFi in Los Angeles for the World Cup, and they couldn't win 1 game during the Nations League. So it is concerning. But we'll see how it goes.
It will go good. Pochettino is a good team. He's a good manager, and he will sort it out. Worry not. You're a strong team.
I feel like this is turning into a therapy session, Jake. That's certainly not the intention. but
sorry, Rick, I forgot to mention, with this, Raul Jimenez got to be the 3rd top scorer in Mexican history. He just got the place out of Cuauhtemoc Blanco, one of our national treasures and legends. So good for him as well.
I mean, the guy single-handedly outscored 2 separate teams. So absolutely good for him. I think all the points are well taken. Let's see how CONCACAF does. It's fair to say that, this being the first 3-country host World Cup, the hope is that all 3 countries advance and do well in front of their home crowds before it gets to the knockout stages where the games start to shift more prominently into the U.S. So thanks everyone for joining. Please stay tuned for some upcoming episodes. We have some exciting ones for you all, and we'll see you all soon.
See you soon. Everyone. Thank you, guys.
Remember to hashtag Fragomen FC. Follow us for updates. We're excited to give you more 2025.